entertaining person from the mainstream media, and anyone that wants to continue to shame us for January 6th can go to hell.
Marjorie Taylor
right around the...
It's truly baffling. Instead of confronting the reality of January 6th, they're rolling out the red carpet and throwing confetti. Imagine the absurdity of it all. Trump strutting in, basking in the adoration, and the Republicans clapping like trained seals. They might as well have had a cake with "Insurrection was fun" written on it. The Capitol, the site of a violent attack on democracy, turned into the venue for Trump's ego-boosting festivity.
Also gave him a baseball to sort of celebrate him coming into the room after the congressional baseball game yesterday.
That's right, Republican.
But Trump wanted a bigger present than what the Republicans had planned. Forget cakes and singing happy birthday. He had another dream that only his loyal Republican minions could fulfill. He waltzed into the Capitol and basically asked his followers to do everything in their power to absolve him of his conviction for falsifying business records. He literally showed up at the Capitol to request another uprising, this time to prevent him from going to jail.
So furious about his verdict that he called the House Speaker and said, "I want you to do something about this."
Playbook this morning has new reporting about how in the hours after Trump was convicted in New York, he called Speaker Mike Johnson and said, "We have to overturn this, do what you can." And Johnson said he would try.
Does he have no shame? Is one insurrection not enough for him? Did he learn absolutely nothing from the first one? But seriously, does he really believe another insurrection will end well for him? Is he that disconnected from reality? It seems like he's in his own world where consequences don't exist and everyone's just there to serve his needs.
Congress can't just overturn a guilty verdict. The guy was president. He still doesn't even know how the three branches of government work. He treats them like his three adult kids.
As we saw earlier, Marjorie Taylor Greene believes that Trump isn't responsible for the Capitol riot. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. That day was packed with outrageous, explosive speeches that had no place in civilized discourse. Right after defending the Capitol insurrection, Greene launched into a tirade insulting those who convicted Trump. She showed zero restraint and absolutely no shame.
No shame.
This pathetic trash, Alvin Bragg from New York. Yeah, trash. Creates his fake charges, his fake felony charges. It is a bunch of bullshit.
Throwing insults left and right, targeting anyone who dared to hold Trump accountable. Her words were so vulgar and out of line. Imagine a politician who thinks it's appropriate to spew venom at judges, jurors, and anyone else involved in the legal process against Trump.
Going to put President Trump in prison. They want to put him in prison. How do you think we're all going to feel about the Republicans in Washington when they put President Trump in?
Among MAGA Republicans, there's this bizarre belief that they have to agree with Trump on everything he does, no matter how ridiculous. It's like a herd of sheep blindly following their leader. Larry Hogan, the former governor of Maryland, tried to break free from this echo chamber. He called out Trump, and boy did he catch flack for it, simply for not towing the party line. Back in March, Hogan wrote that the GOP cannot afford another Trump candidacy, and now, with Trump facing criminal charges, Hogan's stance is even firmer. He can't envision Trump as a viable presidential candidate under any circumstances, let alone as someone embroiled in legal battles. Hogan's actions are a wake-up call. He's basically saying we need to move on from Trump if we want any chance of winning.
I think it's basically the third election in a row that Donald Trump has cost us the race, and it's like, 3 strikes.
Hogan didn't just reject Trump's endorsement. He went public with some pretty harsh truths about Trump. Shortly after the verdict, Hogan said the ruling was fair and that Trump shouldn't be acquitted. He warned fellow Republicans not to undermine the judgments of legitimate courts, unlike Trump, who was pushing them to incite another January 6th.
Regardless of the result, I urge all Americans to respect the verdict and the legal process.
Hogan really shook things up among Trump's team and allies by insisting that Americans should respect the verdict and the legal process. This was completely out of sync with what other Republicans were saying about the trial. They were all chanting the same old mantra: witch hunt, sham trial, and all that jazz. We've heard it a million times, but not Hogan. He came out and said the verdict was fair, accept it, and move on.
We must reaffirm what has made this nation great, the rule of law. And because Larry Hogan said respect the verdict and the...
Imagine the scene. Republicans rallying around Trump, repeating their lines like a broken record, and then Hogan steps up and says, "Actually, guys, the trial was legit. Let's not make fools of ourselves." It was like someone finally speaking sense in a room full of echoing madness. Hogan's stance is a bold move, showing he's not afraid to break from the pack. His words might sting Trump, but they resonate with a lot of Americans tired of the constant chaos. And we have to tell you, MAGA was not happy about that. Chris Lasva, co-managing Trump's 2024 campaign, ominously tweeted at Hogan on X, formerly Twitter, "You just ended your campaign." But that wasn't the end of it. Laura Trump, the wild co-chair of the Republican National Committee and the former president's daughter-in-law, went even further, saying Hogan doesn't deserve anyone's respect in the Republican Party right now, and frankly, anyone in America.
He doesn't deserve the respect of anyone in the Republican Party at this point, and quite frankly, anybody in America, if that's the way you feel.
Hogan must have felt like he stepped into a lion's den wearing a vegan t-shirt. Lasva's threat was like saying, "Game over, Hogan," and Lara's comments were like adding hot sauce to a fire pit. Laura Trump's words were like throwing shade with a bulldozer, saying Hogan doesn't deserve respect in the GOP is a big statement even by Trump family standards.
He doesn't deserve the respect of anyone in the Republican Party at this point, and quite frankly, anybody in America, if that's the way you feel.
This kind of independent thinking is rare in today's GOP. Hogan's defiance could inspire others to speak out too, maybe leading to a shift in the party dynamics. Who knows, we might see more Republicans standing up and saying enough is enough. Laura Trump was so harsh on Hogan because she's ready to back literally any Republican as long as they don't stray too far. They realize his arguments make sense, and he could spoil the plans of Republicans who are starting to see things clearly and are leaving Trump behind.
support what he just said there. I think it's ridiculous. And I think anybody who's not speaking up in the face of really something that should never again have seen the light of day, a trial that would never have been brought against any other person aside from Donald Trump.
But does the RNC support his bid?
The respect of anyone. Well,
he doesn't deserve the respect of anyone?
Back to you. He doesn't deserve the respect of anyone.
Unfortunately, this wave of rebellion sweeping through the Republican Party seems to have missed Marjorie Taylor Greene. She continues to preach Trump's nonsense as if he were her deity. This time, she once again referenced her infamous and ridiculous speech in Congress where she insulted Dr. Fauci, and of course, she's repeating that performance now.
Dr. Anthony Fauci should be tried for crimes against humanity.
It's terrifying to see the crowd chant, "Lock him up," with MTG standing there, proud of herself for inciting hatred against someone who has literally done nothing wrong. It's the same story as when she first lashed out during that congressional hearing. She was smugly satisfied then too, completely oblivious to the wrongness of her behavior.
You said you represent science. Do you represent science, Mr. Fauci? Yes or no?
Most Americans don't think she represents Congress. So one of the things...
Republican Marjorie Taylor Greene refused to address Dr. Anthony Fauci as doctor and called for him to be jailed. As crazy as it sounds, she didn't stop there. Greene told Fauci, "You're not a doctor, you're Mr. Fauci," adding that his medical license should be revoked and he should be in prison for crimes against humanity, citing mask mandates. She clearly has something going on with her head. We have no doubt about that.
You know that what this committee should be doing? We should be recommending you to be prosecuted. We should be writing a criminal referral because you should be prosecuted for crimes against humanity. You belong in prison.
Officials like Fauci, the former director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, have recently acknowledged the 6-foot social distancing recommendation was not based on medical data.
People that are clean and honorable and out there setting the pace. I think of Dr. Fauci. Probably never heard of him. Well, you did, and heard him. He's a very fine research, top doctor at National Institute of Health, working hard doing something about research on this disease of AIDS. But look.
Republican Jamie Raskin from Maryland got his feathers ruffled by Greene's comment and asked the chair of the subcommittee, Representative Brad Winstrup from Ohio, whether the rules of decency allow members to deny that a doctor is just a doctor because they don't want him to be a doctor. Raskin, clearly not mincing words, is calling out Greene's remarks and demanding some accountability.
My time, Mr. Raskin.
Gentlelady will suspend.
Mr. Chairman,
of order.
Just in terms of the rules of decorum, are we allowed to deny that a doctor is a doctor just because we don't want him to?
Greene's comment about denying someone's profession just because it doesn't fit her narrative is downright absurd, and Raskin, well, he's not having any of it. He's standing up for decency and common sense, demanding that members of Congress stick to the facts and show some basic respect for each other regardless of their political differences.
The gentlelady should recognize the doctor as a doctor.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, is this what we have become? Is this what we have devolved into?
Raskin has been wielding a sharp tongue lately, and it's clear he's run out of patience with the folks from the fringe. Can you blame him? Dealing with the antics of the MTGs of the world would test anyone's patience.
She drops out. Would you be disappointed if she endorsed Trump?
She does, I'll vote Democrat. That's all there is to it.
It's important to me to keep Trump out of office again. Project 2025, I've read it, I've studied it. It's scary, it's frightening.
I've lived in a closet.
It's like he's reached his breaking point, and now he's done playing nice. He's ready to call out the absurdity for what it is and take a stand against the madness. And you know what? Good for him. We need more. People like Raskin in Congress who aren't afraid to speak up and demand some sanity in the midst of all the chaos.
Director of the National Institute of Allergies and Infectious Diseases for more than 3 decades, is that right?
38 plus years.
38 years, okay. And I assume that you've never been accused of trying to start a disease before, is that right?
That is correct.
Despite the criticism and backlash, Greene remains undeterred. It's like logic and common sense don't reach her. She continues her relentless tirades, doubling down on her outlandish claims, with no sign of slowing down. It's almost as if the more people call her out, the more emboldened she becomes. Her behavior, though widely condemned, seems to be a bottomless pit of absurdity, showing no signs of abating. So, what do you think?
Sure you. If I have anything to do with it, we will lock him up. He belongs in prison.
About all this? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that subscribe button and give us a thumbs up. Don't forget to click here to watch our previous episode. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.